Hello everyone and welcome back to EDCNC. My name is Samuel and today we're going to be checking out one of the best budget knives of 2023. This is the CJRB Pyrite. Let's check it out. So this is the knock your socks off knife of 2023. Coming in, and I'll go ahead and get it, out of the way right off the bat at an astounding $50 for this. We'll jump into the specifications. We'll jump into all the things about it that make it such an amazing knife, but I want to go ahead and get that out of the way. For 50 bucks, this knife is awesome. So with that being said, let's jump into some specifications real quick, and then I'll talk about what makes this knife so great. So let's start at the tip of the knife. This is a drop point stone-washed ARRPM 9 steel blade. Now, what is ARRPM 9 steel? I'm no metallurgist, but from what I understand, it is around a D2 or 9CR equivalent when it comes to edge retention, but it is a powder-formed steel. So, if I'm not mistaken, that gives it a little bit more toughness, less chippy, and going to be a little bit easier to sharpen. Has a thumb stud deployment and a finger choil also cut out of that blade. We'll talk about that a little more when we get to ergonomics, but spoiler alert, it's great. Let's move on to the handle. This has a G10 handle with a T8 pivot, T6 pocket clip screws, and T6 body screws. With shadow box liners, that doesn't really affect anything. It just gives it a little bit more character, and personally, I'm a fan of shadow box liners. That's where you can see just the edge of the liners as you look at the knife. Gives it a little more characteristic to it. And real quick, I'll rag on everybody else because they sent me this knife. That doesn't mean I'm not going to rag on them for it. Artisan, please move to T8 pocket clip screws. I say that on about any knife I come across with T6 pocket clip screws. So please, please, please move to T8 clip. The pocket clip is not inset, but the screws are. So the screws are recessed. You'll see I have one here that's a little bug-eyed, and I tried to fix it, but it wouldn't go any deeper. But I would guess on all their other models, that screw is going to be completely recessed. So let's go over some quick measurements. This has a blade length of 3.11 inches, so just over that 3-inch mark, which kind of stinks for people with a 3-inch blade law, but it is what it is. Maybe knocking, quarter inch off the tip and call it a good day. Has a handle length of 4.2 inches. When I put all 4 fingers on this, even without using the choil, I still have a little bit of room. If I choke up and use the choil, I have enough room for a whole nother finger on there. So this knife, even with, I have large hands, I guess you would say, and I still have plenty of room on this knife. So the weight is 2.65 ounces. This is a really light knife. You pick it up and it kind of shocks you with how light it is. Not necessarily cheap feeling, but it is very light. I know that some people equate quality with weight. That's not the case, but I do understand it. I've handled the steel version and I liked it a little better, except for one problem I had with it, which we'll talk about when we get down the road a little bit. So let's hit it up against the usuals real quick. First things first, Benchmade 940. We'll run through these pretty quick so I can get to the ones that I think would be best to show. Here it is up against the Benchmade Bug Out, QSP Penguin, Kaiser T1. Now, something that I think would be a good size comparison would be some of this knife's competition, the other thumb stud button lock knives. So here it is up against the Kaiser Original and the Vosteed Raccoon. Now these are the only two I have. The last one I need is the Civivi Altus. Is that a spider? Ew. So the last knife I'm missing to compare to this would be the Civivi Altus, but I will have my hands on one of those soon, and I'm going to do kind of a thumb stud button lock roundup. And, kind of put all these guys head to head and see which one we like the most. But anyways, that's for another day. All right, so now that we've got all that out of the way, let's talk about what makes this knife so great. First things first, the ergonomics. This thing in the hand, when you grip down on it, just pop my finger doing it, I can grip as hard as I want to. And there are no hot spots unless I force them. The pocket clip. As much as, it looks like it would be a hot spot, it's not. And I guess that's just the placement, whether you're choked up or choked back. It is not really a hot spot. These shadow box liners, not a hot spot. I can't find a hot spot on this knife. I mean, if I squeeze hard enough, I'm sure I could. But this is a very comfortable knife in hand. Now, this is the G10 model. I'm not sure about the steel model. I haven't handled it enough to, give a review on it. But this is Very, very comfortable, the G10 model. And even choked up on that finger choil. That finger choil is great. I love it. You can choke up right there, get you a good grip, and use this knife in a very, intricate and very controlled way. How's the action? Ooh, the action is great. That thumb stud deployment, you can flick it, you can thumb flick it, you can use the button, you can do whatever you want to deploy this knife, and it feels good. The only complaint I do have is the detent. The detent is a little bit squishy. As you can see, I can flick it out like that, but don't get me wrong, this thing's not going to come out in your pocket. How's the jimping? The jimping is good. It actually travels up the blade a little further than most other knives, so I hit it just right when I'm choked back. When I choke up on the knife, I still have my finger on the jimping. Wouldn't hurt if it went up the blade a little further, but that's all right. Now, when I got this knife, the quality control was good, the centering was good, action was good. It does work itself loose over time. I might have to throw a little bit of Loctite on it, but other than that, it is fine. Another thing, they did not prioritize the lanyard hole over the pocket clip. It's off over here to the side. Is it kind of ugly? It's noticeable. It'd be better if it was a lanyard bar, but this knife looks great. It has a deep carry reversible pocket clip, which makes this knife kind of ambidextrous. The button lock can be operated pretty easily, even by me, and I'm not left-handed with the left hand. So what are the good things about this knife? Well, there are so many of them. Let me round them off real fast. Textured G10 feels great. The button feels great. It sticks up just enough to engage it whenever the knife is deployed, and while it's closed, it sits almost flush with that little indent they've cut out for it. The action is superb. The deployment, the close, all of it straight out of the box was amazing. The thumb studs are not sharp. The pocket clip does not have a hot spot. The lanyard hole was not prioritized over the pocket clip. Centering's great. All these little things make this knife amazing for $50. It's absolutely incredible what they can do nowadays for $50. I give my thumbs up to CJRB for this one. Now I'll go ahead and tell you guys, they did send me this, as I mentioned at the first of the video, but if this was a garbage knife, if I did a review on it, I would tell you it was garbage. More than likely, I wouldn't review it, but if this was bad, I would tell you. I don't want to be biased because they sent it to me. If there's anything bad, I'll tell you there's something bad about it. So what's the bad on this knife? The bad is the detent. It's just a little bit squishy. That's really the main thing. It is a great deployment, but as you can see right there, it's a little bit too easy to flick out. Is that going to be a problem? More than likely, no. Unless this thing is bouncing around loose somewhere, more than likely that blade is not going to deploy. All right, and the last point I'll make, notice the change in light. My phone died and I was talking to somebody. So last point I'd like to make about this is the G10 handles. They're very grippy, but a complaint I've heard about the steel ones, now I haven't owned one, but I've handled one, is that the steel handles are slick. Taylor Martin, he was talking about the CJRB Pyrite in one of his recent videos, and he said that it was a little slippery for him, and he had handled a G10 model, and that was this knife right here. We were at a local coffee shop, and he had his knife, I had mine, and he said he liked the G10 more because it was more grippy. That's what he liked about the G10 model. So if you do something where you're worried about the knife slipping out of your hands, I would pick up the G10 model. Yes, the steel one might be a little bit stronger, but what are you putting this knife through that you need it to be that much stronger? These steel liners and G10 are going to be super strong also, so I would pick this one up if you're worried about grip problems. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you did, please click like, comment, subscribe, all those wonderful things. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. Thank you for 800 subscribers, and God bless.